I am one of 10 lucky people to receive the boxed edition of the new Amiga port of Rygar. Come with me and check it out.
Your meditation.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Now, we don't usually do gaming videos here on The Guru, but this box edition of Rygar is so rare that I want to share it with all of you. This fan-made port of Rygar was led by Graeme Cowie. Graeme recently also ported Bomb Jack to the Amiga and called it the Bomb Jack Beer Edition. This port of Rygar is available for free to all Amiga fans. In this video, we're going to do three things. First, we're going to unbox this. Then we're going to play some Rygar. And last and not least, we're going to show an excerpt from an interview Anthony and I did with Graeme over on my Twitch channel. The box was designed by Kevin Saunders, also known as Invent71. Kevin is an amazing artist and no stranger to the Amiga scene. He has done several projects, including the graphics for Richard Lowenstein's awesome new Amiga game, Reshooter, as well as the level design here in Rygar. The box cover is based on an image Kevin and Graeme found on the internet. Kevin did a reboot of it by adding scan lines to offset the noise and JPEG compression in the original image. He also removed the green red snake twine imagery around the outer part, which he felt was too distracting. Kevin is a big fan of the characters in the game, so he included the arcade assets around the perimeter of the inside of the box. This is a really nice touch. On the back of the box, they have text, credits, and retain the retro vibe with some cool screenshots from the game. I remember shopping for games when I was a kid and looking at the screenshots from different systems on the back of the box. Of course, the Amiga version always looked best. As we open up the box, we have a gorgeous 3.5-inch bootable floppy disk. The game has all of the original 27 arcade rounds, in addition to 3 new ones they made specifically for this Amiga port, for a total of 30 rounds. I find it remarkable that all this can fit on one floppy disk. Graeme signed the inside of the box and also wrote me a nice little note. Thank you so much, Graeme. This is a quality production and the Amiga community is very thankful for all your hard work. This Amiga port is a free download available as an ADF file that can be used with your favorite Amiga emulator or written to an actual floppy disk and played on a real Amiga. There's also a hard drive installable UHD load version. Links to both are in the description. This is an AGA game, so if you're going to play on a real Amiga, you'll need an Amiga 1200 or 4000. It will run on a stock 1200 if you disable everything including the hard drives, so a little extra RAM will help a lot. There's also an unofficial CD32 release that utilizes the UHD load version. Rygar was originally a Japanese arcade game released by Tecmo in 1986. It has been ported to several platforms, but this is the first time it has appeared on the Amiga. This fan-made port of Rygar is almost arcade perfect. All the graphics were ripped from the original arcade sprites by DLFR Silver, and level designer Kevin Saunders even left in imperfections in the tiles despite being tempted to fix them. So what's different from the arcade version? Well, like I mentioned before, the team has added 3 new original levels specifically for this Amiga version. They also changed rounds 8, 16, and 24 from sunset backgrounds to moonlit backgrounds. Alright, here we are on the home screen. We've got a few options here, so let's talk about them. Enter password allows you to enter a code that you get at the end of each round, so you can skip to any round that you've completed. You can also activate cheat mode here, which gives you all the power-ups, infinite lives, the ability to skip to any level, etc., etc. Difficulty lets you choose between beginner and warrior. Warrior mode gives you 10 seconds less to complete the round, and it also increases the score you need to get an extra life. On beginner level, you start with 50,000 points necessary to get an extra life. On warrior, it increases to 200,000 points. Now there's no difference in the number of enemies or the AI in the two modes. It's simply the number of points that you need to get an extra life and the time you have to complete the round. Controller lets you select if you're playing with a 1 or 2 button controller. If you have a traditional 1 button controller, you push up on the joystick to jump, and you also push up to fire your weapon into the sky. Whereas in 2 button mode, you can assign jump to the second button, which I personally much prefer. Alright, let's play this thing. You play as Rygar, a dead warrior who has risen from the grave to defeat the evil Argul. Your weapon is called a disc armor, and it can be shot out horizontally, or if you fire up, it moves in a semicircle direction around you. The semicircle attack is especially useful when enemies attack you from above. There are 22 different enemies in the game, and each one rewards a different amount of points when killed. Along the way, you'll pick up a variety of items. Some items will give you points, while others will do things like kill everything on the screen, give you extra time, or give you an extra life. In addition to items, you also pick up powers along the way. There are 5 different powers, and when you pick one up, it goes into a slot at the bottom of the screen. Star Power increases your weapon range to nearly the length of the whole screen. Crown Power increases the firepower of your weapon, letting you kill several enemies with a single shot. Tiger Power lets you kill an enemy instantly by jumping on it. Normally when you jump on an enemy, it just stuns it. Cross Power gives you invincibility for a limited amount of time. Last and not least is Sun Power. It allows for greater control over vertical firing. If you run out of time during a round, the Death Monster will come after you. It's not possible to kill the Death Monster, but you can try to avoid it and still finish the round. The emblem in the upper left corner of the screen shows your rank. There are 7 ranks, and ranking up is determined by the number of points you collect, as well as the number of kills. Rygar is an absolute blast. I love this game. It's so much fun to play, and one of my go-tos on Amiga these days. Now, there are some bugs with it, but Graeme mentioned he was going to address these bugs and release an update in the not-too-distant future. Now, we don't do too much gaming here on The Guru, but if you like this video and you want to see more, please let us know in the comments. And if there's anything, that we can improve on, please let us know as well, because we just want to make the best possible videos. Anthony and I did an interview with Graeme over on my Twitch channel. It was a live stream, and it was long. It was like 3 hours long, so I cut it down to something a little bit more bite-sized, and we're going to check that out now. If you want to see the entire stream, I'll post a link in the description of this video. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Graeme Cowie, also known as Mick Geezer. He is an expert at converting arcade games to the Amiga, and now his latest project is Rygar.
I tell you, anybody who does stuff like this, I humbly bow to.
It's pretty much nearly killed me the last 2 years, but it's a nice hobby, really. Killing yourself doing computer games, but hey, I love it. You know what I mean? I pretty much started with the Amiga right back in oh god, man, I was probably about 14 or 15. Actually, before that, I had an Atari ST. I seen Hybris on the Amiga. I thought,
oh, great game.
I love the sound of that. So I says to me dad, I says, look, I want rid of this Atari ST and I've got to buy an Amiga.
Chuck it right out.
When you want to take a game from the arcade and port it to the Amiga, like where do you even start? Because it's an arcade game. It's like, is this on a circuit board inside of an arcade machine?
Well, typically you'll start with MAME, so you've got like you've got the ROMs in MAME, haven't you? But you've got to, I think first and foremost, you've got to start with a love. If you're going to do a project, you've got to actually love the game to actually see it to appear on the Amiga.
Are you just ripping the sprites, or are you creating these, from scratch and just matching them to the originals as close as possible, or a combination of both?
No, they come from the arcade board, so if you use MAME, I think you press like F4 and you can sort of like see all the tiles and the graphics in the game. So originally they kind of come from that. So it's quite easy to actually extract them, extract the graphics that way. The tricky bit is that those arcade boards, they can sort of like move sprites around with quite a lot of colours. And the tricky bit is getting the Amiga to do that. So you've got to kind of down sample the palettes of the sprites. You've got to work out which ones you're going to use for hardware sprites. In short answer to your question, they come from the arcade board. I certainly couldn't draw graphics like that. as much as I'd like to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it makes it much more truer to the original instead of trying to like redraw. Because they can move so many sprites on the screen at one time and stuff, I'd imagine that you'd have to rely a little bit on the Amiga's custom chips to help you out.
I'm kind of using the 8 hardware sprites that the Amiga's got with 4 colours, and those are like separated out. Like for example, the main character Bombjack, he's a hardware sprite. And you've got the little P there, that's the power pill that's kind of moving around, that's a hardware sprite as well. So I'm kind of using the sprites, using the blitter to plot the sprites as well as the hardware sprites to get a total number, if you know what I mean.
How long did it take you to do this, McGeezer?
So it started July, let's say August 2018, and I finished probably, I'm still not finished because it looks like there's some bugs still in the game. So I would say I finished, end of August. I mean, to give you an example, I was probably working on it most days for like 2 hours, 3 hours a day. So I probably racked up about, when I worked it out, probably about 1,000 hours.
Wow.
And I think the main thing is, like, although you can rip the graphics using MAME, the code has to all come from you coding it, right?
Absolutely. So it's a written from scratch game. Every bit of it, around about 22,000 lines of assembler that's gone in there.
How many lines?
22,000.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
So I see there's a map in the lower right corner that shows me where I am on each round, each level. How many levels are there in the game?
So in the arcade game there's 27 levels, but in this one I kind of thought, well, if I'm going to kind of build the game, why not add some extra bits myself? So there's actually 30 rounds in this game.
Nice.
Just to
So it's actually
just to make
improved.
it exclusive,
And so those are levels that you and your team made up?
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
So Kevin actually built a couple of the levels. I think I did one level, and there's a really nice level actually, which is round 14, which was added, where I put in some parallax clouds in the background, and it really, really looks awesome. I was so impressed when I got that to work. So you'll have to take a look at that, definitely.
And what part of the game was most difficult to achieve?
I would say the hardest part of doing the game is actually keeping motivated. Technically, what was the most difficult part? The game throws around a lot of sprites. At any one time there can be like 24 sprites pushing around the screen at any one time. Getting the performance of that was quite actually difficult, and it uses a combination of hardware sprites, using the AGA capabilities, as well as the blitter. So there's quite a lot of jiggery pokery going on. Had I not been able to do that, it would have, you would have had a kind of a game that was running at 25 frames or something like that, and it just wouldn't have been as good. So I did spend a lot of time spending on the performance stuff.
So the game does run at 50 frames per second.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's butter.
Yeah, on the stock Amiga as well. I was really keen for it to stock Amiga 1200. I just wanted it to run as smooth as I possibly could, because that's the challenge, isn't it? I'm a classic Amiga guy. I wanted it to run nice on my Amiga.
Andy's question is, what dev tools were used to create this game?
The development environment is on Windows, and I use actually something what's called a tool chain. That's just kind of a group of utilities which I kind of glue together. What I use is actually a program called Notepad++, which is what you're seeing on the screen at the minute, which is quite it's a common text editor. Just makes things look nice to and highlight your code and things like that. But I also use WinUAE, which is the Amiga emulator, which is a fantastic program really. When for what it does, it's absolutely brilliant. I can't thank Tony Willen enough for what he's done there to assemble the game. So to take the actual assembler and convert it into an Amiga executable, I use a tool called VASM. That's VASM, and that produces kind of an Amiga executable, which I then store on a hard drive, a virtual hard drive, and with just a few button clicks, I think I press Shift F11, and then it'll run the game. But if I want to press Shift and F12, I can actually go and debug the game, which is you just had that on the screen there, in one of the utilities that I use, which is Monam. And I can kind of debug the routines and see what's going on inside the game, that type of stuff. So yeah, so it's, to summarize, it's a combination of Notepad++, WinUAE, also Vasm as well.
Right.
So yeah, so those three things.
Right now, guys, I am looking at a video clip from Graeme's YouTube channel where he has well documented his development of Rygar. I highly recommend everyone go follow him on YouTube.
It's actually pretty cool. You see, how because of WinUAE, the ability to develop on a PC or even a Mac and then just get your code over to an Amiga to try it out must make things a lot easier than it was back when you actually coded on the Amiga.
Absolutely. When I first started building Bombjack Beer Edition, actually, I used to use the traditional tools that the developers would use. The problem with that is that you're using your dev environment is actually on the Amiga, and with assembly you tend to crash things a lot. So you'd have to kind of restart the Amiga once you've crashed it, and you've got to it takes quite a lot of time.
The Amiga community really appreciates your efforts very, very much, Graeme. You're incredible, and we, Anthony and I really appreciate. We always say anyone who makes new Amiga games or new Amiga hardware in 2019 is a hero to us. So Epic is asking, how can we support you, Graeme?
You know what I mean? I'm just happy to sort of be involved. Really, I was kind of thinking about this. It's took a long time to do it, but it's a hobby. I don't need to do it to sort of pay the wages or anything like that. I've got a full-time job. What I'm kind of keen on doing is making sure that the next project I do, and this is the reason why the next project I do, I kind of want to be my own game that I can sort of put in a nice physical box and really sort of get it out there for people to buy and show what I can really do. Follow the Rygar page on Facebook.
Since we did this interview with Graeme, he's also started an Amiga game development blog, which he wants you all to check out. It's basically an Amiga assembly language class. I'll post a link in the description of the video. We are going to have a drink in honor of Graeme Cowie, creator of Bombjack Beer Edition, as well as the new Rygar port, which is amazing. I absolutely love. Both games are incredible, Graeme. Thank you for all your hard work. I can't imagine, you literally put in thousands of hours on this, and all it is just for us, man. A gift to us, a gift to the Amiga community. So, cheers to you, Graeme. Yeah, thank you so much for your amazing work. We're so thankful. Cheers.
Nice, man. Cheers. It's a shame I don't have a beer actually, but I don't drink on a work night. So there you go.
Oh, fair enough.
I don't work on a drink night.
Guys, we are going to take it to the hot tub. And Anthony, take it away.
I'll see you on the next episode of the Guru Meditation.